Hi, friends. It's Lauren Taylor. Thanks for joining me in my craft room today. I'm grateful to have you here as we celebrate the brand new release of Pretty Pink Posh's June products. I said that weird. For Pretty Pink Posh's June release, I am using the new sports stamp set and coordinating die, as well as the layered sports balls stencils. And honestly, I went kind of a little bit out of my comfort zone for the colors of this card. I tend to make very pretty, full, cards, I guess you could say. And not that this card isn't pretty, but I don't usually use a lot of oranges and yellows. And so I thought, you know what, we're going to step a little bit out of our comfort zone because I'm not really a sport kind of gal. Our family is into hockey, so I do know about that, but this is more like court sports. And I just don't really have like a favorite team. I did used to really love the Spurs because I am a big Coach Pop fan and Tim Duncan fan, but I don't really watch basketball anymore either. So I'm going with just some fun, funky colors to step a little bit out of my comfort zone and do something a little different. So I'm starting with the A stencil from the layered sports balls stencil set. And originally I was just going to do kind of like a 4 color monochromatic look, but then I decided to just do 3 in the more lighter colors. So I started off with a light green. This is Overzealous from Simon Hurley and Ranger. And then I did Shooting Star as a yellow. Also Simon Hurley Create and Ranger. And then in the top corner, I'm going to do an orange, and I used Guppy, which is a really fun orange from Simon and Ranger. And I always went back and forth. These are dye-based inks, so I try to do a nice clean blend without, going too dark with the colors. Because after I'm done with the A stencil, I'm going to replace it with the B stencil, and I'm going to go in with darker colors and a bit of a heavier hand. So I'm so sorry that my camera shakes. I'm a very aggressive ink blender, but I'm going to go a little faster here or edit out a little more. And so over the Overzealous, I'm using Later Gator, and again, going a little heavier hand, a darker color. And then over Shooting Star, I'm going to use Slippery When Wet. And on top of the guppy, I'm going to use Traffic Cone. So it's a little bit more of a reddishy orange color. Slippery When Wet is a little bit more of an orangey yellowy color. So it will have a really nice tone on tone look once I do a fun stencil reveal here. And I really like how these colors turned out. Again, I don't really know of any sports teams that are like green, yellow, and orange, but maybe there are, and you can tell me in the comments if you're a sports person. And I wanted to kind of make this more like a Father's Day card or a thank you card to maybe your coach or something. So I just wanted to share kind of an overall idea that you can easily change the colors for. Like if you are making a thank you card for a coach, you could do the colors of the team, or if it's a Father's Day card, or just, a celebratory card in some way, you could customize the colors that you stencil with for colors of the sports team that of your liking. So I'm going to use the Stitch Torn Rectangle dies to do some die cutting, but before I do that, I wanted to get my stamping done. So I'm stamping the kind of like trophy, I guess it is a trophy stamp, and then the ribbon. Now, in my head, ribbons are, generally like blue, red, and white for, first, second, third place. But I wanted to coordinate the color, so I'm going to color these pretty quickly with my Ohuhu art markers. For the trophy, I'm going to make it a gold color, so I'm using more orangey yellow tones to give it that yellow gold look. And again, when I color, I start with the darkest color, move into a mid-tone, and then a light. And I usually only use 2 to 3 colors when I color in my images. I did use 3 for the trophy just because it had a lot more coloring space, where this ribbon is a lot smaller. So I only used 2 shades, a darker and a lighter, for the coloring. and I picked colors for my ribbon that matched the colors of my background. So I did a little bit of yellow, a little orange, and green. And I'm going to use the coordinating dies from Pretty Pink Posh, which I don't know if you guys have realized that Pretty Pink Posh now separates their dies, and I am so grateful. I hate cutting apart dies. So when they started doing this a couple releases ago, I was so elated that I don't have to cut apart their dies, and the background, like the cardstock backing, has the images outlined so you know if you're missing a die or how to fit your die so they actually stay on the cardstock background. I'm loving it. It is worth every penny for the ease of your dies being cut apart and knowing what die is what in your set. Okay, so I took a smaller rectangle and die cut it out of some yellow cardstock. I ink blended a little bit of my yellow inks on there, Shooting Star and Slippery when wet, just to coordinate that yellow a little better with the background design that I have. And I'm going to stamp your number 1. I'm using my Misty because it has a grid on it. It'll help me make sure it's straight. And I'm glad I did it because I stamped first with Later Gator and I just didn't like it wasn't like bold enough for me. You can barely read it. So I'm bringing in VersaFine Clair in green Oasis. You can never go wrong with VersaFine for sentiment. So it's definitely a lot more bold, and I'm really happy that I was able to bring in that color. Thanks to my Misty, it's stamped in the same place. I wanted to bring in more of that green, so I die cut an A2 background out of some green cardstock, and I'm going to use Later Gator to also add some color. You're barely going to see this cardstock behind the largest stitch torn rectangle die that I used to cut out my stenciled background, but I just wanted to create that same kind of ombre effect that I did with the yellow cardstock. So while it's not really noticeable, it just adds a little bit more to the background. It's not so like plain green, I guess you could say. So after that, we're going to assemble our card. So I'm adding adhesive to the back of my stenciled stitch torn rectangle. Just use some tape runner and attach that to the green cardstock, again A2 in size. I'm using some foam adhesive on the back of my yellow stitch torn rectangle. I'm just going to use these pieces that I have in my stash. I did a recent kind of clean through some things that were piling up on the floor in my craft room, and I found these foam adhesive strips, so I'm trying to use them up. I added it to the yellow rectangle, and I'm using my grid here on my glass board to do my best to get this yellow rectangle nice and centered. Once that's in place, I'll also add some foam adhesive behind my images. I'm going to attach my ribbon to the trophy, so I'm only going to add foam adhesive to the back of the trophy and just a little bit on the ribbon because of how it overlaps. I don't need foam adhesive on the whole ribbon, just like the little part that's going to stick out past the trophy. And I centered the trophy because I wanted the ribbon to look like it's just kind of attached to it. It does make the card feel a little like lopsided, but I think it still looks really nice. I guess if you like it more centered, you could attach the ribbon first and then apply it to your yellow rectangle so it feels a little more even on the left and right side. But that's how my card turned out. I wanted to add a little bit of sparkle because I can't help myself. I love shine, even on a card that's, maybe intended for someone who's not as into shine as I am. But you know what? It's fine. It's my card. I'm going to make it how I want to. So I grabbed a few different shimmer confetti mixes from Pretty Pink Posh. I wanted orange, yellow, and green. And I don't have just an orange confetti mix, so I brought out the rainbow shimmer confetti mix, and there's a couple kind of corally orangey colors in there, so I added a couple of those. I did 3 yellow and 2 green, so I tried to add them in the same direction as the stenciled background. Now I forgot to add it to my card base, so I'm going to wait till my sequins are really attached and the glue is dry before I add it to my card base. But here's a close-up of how the card turned out. I hope you're as excited as I am for the new release. You can find my affiliate link down below. Thank you to everyone who uses them. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!